Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. It is one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the RTX 1080 Ti. Nope, it's not RTX. Yeah, that was a bad joke, I'm sorry. This is the GTX 1080 Ti with ray tracing, because GTX cards actually do support ray tracing in a few games, not in every game. So the 1080 Ti is one of the best GTX cards out there, no doubt about it. It's a beast even 5 years later after its release. It's released back in 2017, and it has 11 gigabytes of VRAM, which will probably help it because ray tracing actually consumes a lot of VRAM sometimes. Now, there are still a couple of GTX cards that are better than this, but this is the mainstream GPU, the best mainstream GTX card, basically. The other ones are Titans, like the Titan XP, little p, which is faster than this, and for example, the Titan V. Is it a GTX card though? The GTX Titan V? I'm not too sure about that one though. But well guys, I'm really curious to see how the 1080 Ti will perform in these games using ray tracing, because the 1060 that I tested like 3 weeks ago, it actually performed way better than what I expected. Although mostly on low settings with ray tracing enabled, which isn't really what you want obviously. So today we're actually gonna test mostly high settings with RT, and that's enough of the intro. Let's see if the GeForce GTX 1080 Ti has what it takes to render some beautiful reflections, shall we? And it's desktop time. GeForce GTX 1080 Ti showing up there in MSI Afterburner along with the latest Nvidia drivers 512.59 at the time of recording this video. I'm not overclocking it. As you can see, this is just stock speeds of the GTX 1080 Ti. You can check out all of its specs here in Tech PowerUp's GPU Z with its 11 gigabytes of GDDR5X, and also its release date right there, March 2017. It's hard to believe that it's been like 5 years already since this GPU came out. And as usual, I'm pairing it with a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32 gigabytes of RAM to avoid CPU bottlenecks. Not that we would see many, because, well, ray tracing is very GPU intensive, of course. It's also CPU intensive sometimes. Anyways, let's get to the first game. And first up is Battlefield 5, and we're playing this at the 1080p resolution using, of course, ray tracing. It's enabled right here with DirectX 12 and high settings, and unfortunately it's probably gonna stutter a bit because of DirectX 12, but it is actually very playable. As you can see, again, I thought it wasn't gonna be this good. This is like what we saw with the GTX 1060 at low settings with ray tracing enabled, but of course this looks way better because it's high settings. Damn it. Alright, look at those ray traced reflections right there. You can see everything basically. It's pretty high quality as well. But it's definitely not needed, guys. I mean, this is just a waste. Look at that. I can see my own reflection there, kind of. But with me getting insanely high FPS without ray tracing, and we are dropping from 60 here, so it's not recommended for sure. Still, it is playable. I think this area is actually really intensive, by the way, because it has a ton of reflections. God damn it, they're everywhere. Is that like a cover for your sniper rifle or something? She's not wearing a sniper rifle or wielding. And why are you kind of on fire? What is that? You can see the machine gun firing there in the puddle. That's very interesting. Okay. Couple of them there. Oh man, it's so bad actually. The input lag with 40 something FPS here and ray tracing for some reason. Usually I can play like this pretty well, but yeah, it's just a little bit too much, guys, the input lag. Okay, now we're playing the same map at 1080p, high settings once again, but no ray tracing and DirectX 11. And look at this. The reflections are also pretty poor in quality, and they kind of, some of the things disappear. But just take a look at those insane FPS that we're getting right now. That's just crazy, guys. That, oh, come on. Got a little stutter there, by the way. Dropped our send lows. I almost got that guy only because we're not playing with ray tracing this time around. You know, if I was playing with ray tracing, I wouldn't have almost gotten that guy. God damn it, okay. Well, those reflections... I broke the glass, but yes, those aren't really there, basically. But who needs reflections in a game like this, right? I mean, they're still kind of there. You're not gonna lick the windows to see every imperfection without ray tracing, right? You're just concentrated into the game and hopefully killing people. Oh, hello. Okay, one down, and our attack commences. All right. Didn't get that kill, but it counts as a kill, basically. Okay, I know what we should do. We should just stay here like this guy. Look at him play this game. Yes, this is what the pros are like, right? Damn it. No. God damn it, I didn't kill him. Okay, we got this one. All right. Oh, there's another one. There are so many of them. What the heck? Wait a second. We can do this, right? We can do this. Come on. There we go. There was another one there. Jesus. Come on. Oh, what the hell? I see them spawn right in front of me. There we go. Another one down. Yes, it is so much better, guys. All right, guys, Cyberpunk 2077 actually doesn't work with ray tracing anymore, and I'm just including this part of the video to tell you this because a lot of you asked why I wasn't testing ray tracing in Cyberpunk with a GTX 1060 last time around, so here's why. Basically, what I think happened was the developers, because, well, it's completely pointless to have ray tracing enabled with a GTX card, actually did test the GTX 1660 Ti in this game with ray tracing enabled, and it was running at like 5 FPS. So, yeah, they released an update to disable ray tracing support for GTX GPUs, unfortunately. So, it doesn't work anymore. We can't really test the 1080 Ti here with that option enabled. Next up is Metro Exodus, and it actually works here with the 1080 Ti, 1080p, high settings, using DirectX 12, and ray tracing is enabled, set to high. Also, there is no lower setting than high, by the way. It's really impressive that the 1080 Ti is capable of getting these FPS in this game. What the actual hell with ray tracing enabled? Like, that's crazy. However, I don't think everything is ray traced. I think the reflections aren't. Look at that right there, by the way. It disappears. The reflection disappears once that is off screen. So that's definitely not ray traced. Interesting. Maybe it's only like the lighting or the shadows, and those aren't really that intensive, at least the shadows. Yeah, look at this. Near the fire, it definitely drops, so it might actually be the lighting that's ray traced here in Metro Exodus, at least on the high settings preset. What is it? Oh, no, it's probably copyrighted, so let's just move on. Looking at this fire over here, it drops once again near 60 FPS, but hey, it is actually still playable. I would just not really use it, obviously, because, again, it's a first-person game, and you get way higher FPS without RT enabled. Okay, so now it's at 1080p high with ray tracing on ultra, and right away we can see that it is dropping a lot here in this area. It was getting like 60 before, and now it's at 40. We might actually get those ray traced reflections now. No? Okay, on ultra we still don't get ray traced reflections. Interesting. Maybe those are only present in the enhanced edition of this game, which is completely unplayable here on the 1080 Ti because it just doesn't launch. I tried several times and it was always crashing, but as you can see, it is getting way less FPS, especially near lighting here. It looks really good though, not gonna lie. But yeah, 30 FPS is kind of rough, especially when you have a GTX 1080 Ti, which is capable of insane FPS without any RT enabled. Let's see over here. Yeah, the reflections look basically the same, guys. They didn't really change at all, as you can see. Here we go, 1080p, high settings, ray tracing is turned off, and just look at that. That's insane. We went from 40 FPS to 190. What the hell? And there we go, we're actually CPU bound at this point because we're getting such insanely high FPS. It's super smooth compared to ray tracing enabled, of course. I mean, wow. Even though I am running 60 Hertz right now because of the capture card, I can feel the smoothness difference. It feels way more responsive, and it's a high refresh rate experience, guys. At this point, oh boy, you could actually utilize the extreme settings if you wanted to, because it's gonna play absolutely wonderfully here with the 1080 Ti. Just look at that. We were getting like 60 or 30-ish FPS, maybe 40 here on Ultra, and now it's getting 170s. Just insane, guys. Look at that. 200s inside of here because we got no ray traced shadows at this point. It still looks good, doesn't it, though? We get 100 more FPS, basically, than with ray tracing on high, and 120 more FPS than ray tracing on Ultra. So that's an insane difference, obviously, and I don't think it looks that much worse here. And now we got control at 1080p resolution using the high settings preset. I'm just gonna disable motion blur, of course, and the medium settings here in the ray tracing preset. I'm not gonna use high because it's gonna run like crap, I think. Let's go. In this game we got proper ray traced reflections, and ooh, okay, this is much better than the 1060. Wow. That's actually playable, guys. What the hell? I wasn't expecting this. The 1060 with low settings and medium ray tracing got like 10 FPS. This is so much better. Damn. All right. I could play like this, honestly, but I wouldn't. Oh, what the heck? What is happening? Oh, I remember. Can I use this as my protection? Come on, come on. Oh, yes, we got it. Oh, no, come on. I want it again. Yes, 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 yes. Look at this. Oh, it's just... Okay, there we go. There we go, guys. This is exactly what I want. We got our protection once again, so now I won't die ever. Also, dropping from 30 FPS around here, as you can see, not very good, but honestly way better than what I was thinking. Let's go down here. Can I just... Are there stairs or something? It's just way too dark. I'll need to leave my protection there. In this game, you can notice a huge difference between ray tracing enabled and disabled, by the way. Not in this area, because there aren't many reflections around us right now, but it's one of those games where ray tracing makes a huge difference, actually. There aren't many of those. Oh boy. I don't know how I managed not to die with the 1060 and 10 FPS, and I managed to die over here. Okay, anyways. But yeah, as I was saying, there's just an insane difference comparing ray tracing on and off in this game. I think this game was just made around ray tracing, so yeah, it looks really good with it enabled, especially when there are many effects going on and reflecting off surfaces and stuff. And the 1080 Ti, well, it can actually play it pretty well. Not great 30 FPS experience, but hey, it's better than what I was expecting for sure. Now let's turn that off and see. Yeah, you get way more FPS, but you lose a lot of those reflections. Like those reflections look way worse, and of course they disappear once things are off screen. There are no cube map reflections or anything like that. So yeah, it's pretty bad once ray tracing is disabled, but you do get a way smoother experience. And honestly, I would still choose to disable RT in this one, even though it makes a huge difference. I prefer the smoothness, and it's not like the game looks bad without RT, right? It still looks pretty good. Let's see if I can actually do something. Oh, grenade. Okay, there we go. Nice. Let's try to get that guy. Yo, oh, don't shoot the wall. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, I'm almost dead. I'm almost dead. So, yes, FPS don't really make you a better player, apparently, in Control. Jeez. Okay, this is bad. Come on, no, I'm dead again. Ugh. I feel like in this game, I would enable ray tracing with an RTX GPU, just not with a GTX card, of course. Now we got Quake 2 RTX at 720p using default settings, like medium, I guess. This is a fully ray traced title, and it's... ooh, oh no! We got the heartbeat frame time graph once again, like the GTX 1060, guys. Yeah, this game is definitely not playable on GTX GPUs, guys, unfortunately. You really need an RTX card to run these properly, and that's to be expected because everything is ray traced in this game. The lighting, the reflections, like everything, the entire game, basically. You can see yourself as well. Yeah, kind of. Yes, there it is. So, yeah, below 30 FPS. Heartbeat frame time, not good whatsoever. I'm gonna try the 640 by 480 resolution, lowest resolution in this game. Okay, there we go, 640 by 480 now, and ooh, okay. Actually, the FPS are pretty good. It's a shame that that frame time is still the same there. It's a little bit quicker, so we're starting to exercise here a bit, like the frame time, because it's like the heartbeat sensor, you know, and when you exercise, it goes a little bit quicker. Anyways, yeah, that's a little bit impressive. It gets 60 plus. With the 1060, we got like 20 something FPS, so not too bad. You could actually play the game with these FPS. If only the frame time was smooth, that would be perfect, of course. It looks really smudgy and bad, but yeah. And now we got Watch Dogs Legion at the high settings preset. I just disabled the motion blur and the ultra ray traced reflections. It's only ray traced reflections, I guess, because it doesn't say anything else. 40, 30s, this is very playable actually, but some of the reflections aren't really ray traced. Well, those are, like, yeah, look at that. Oh, yes, ray traced reflections on the car there. But I noticed that, like, trees aren't really ray traced. Like, for example, that one right there. Stop it! All right, there we go. So that's the tree. No, that's actually reflecting the tree. Okay, never mind, guys. Can we see ourselves in the mirror? Yes, we can. It's not a mirror. It's just a glass window. But, yeah, look at that, guys. We can see all of those beautiful reflections, and it's still very, very playable at around 40 frames per second most of the time. Now, I want to go to another area, though, and that is... There goes the FPS. That is one of these bridges right here, because those are super, super intensive with all of the water and the reflections. It actually used to break everything here in this game in terms of the FPS and performance. The handling, the car handling here is just terrible in my opinion. But yeah, you can see a lot of little reflections in the water puddles in the car as well. Look at that. It looks really nice, and it is playable. Honestly, with an RTX GPU, it might be worth enabling some ray tracing here if the performance penalty isn't huge. And you're most likely going to be CPU bound anyways at higher FPS, like around 100 frames per second, because this CPU is also this game is also very CPU intensive. And looking at the water, yeah, it's dropping a little bit, as you can see, into the lower 30s. It's not really dropping from 30, although the 1% lows are at 28, so it might have dropped already, but it's not terrible. If you lock it to 30, it could be a console-like experience, I guess. And I believe the consoles also run it with ray tracing, the PS5. And that's a bit of a shame because it means that they're locked to 30 FPS and they could be locked to 60. Now, what if we disable ray tracing altogether? Holy crap. Okay, so the reflections now on the car, for example, are terrible, right? Look at that. Pixelated mess, basically. Looks really bad. The reflections in water puddles, well, they could look better still. Yeah, they also look a little bit bad. Again, guys, I think ray tracing does make a big difference here in this game, honestly, but it's the difference between 112 FPS and 35. That's huge as well. So you still got some reflections there in the water puddles. It's on high settings. You could increase it to ultra and it will look even better, of course, and you will still stay above 60 frames per second easily. Yeah, again, I would still choose the higher refresh rate experience, or at least 60 FPS experience, you know, because 30 is just a little bit too bad. Although this is a single player title, third person, 30 is 30. Once you get used to 60, you don't want to go back to 30, guys. Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1080p resolution using the ultra or highest settings preset, actually. I just disabled motion blur, and we're using ray traced shadow quality on ultra. So it's maxed out, but it's only ray traced shadows in this game. It's not as intensive as reflections or lighting. Alright, it is a little bit slower than what I was expecting, and this part of the benchmark doesn't really have any sound because, well, they actually play copyrighted music up there. So anyways, I expected around 60, honestly. It's close. If I overclock this card a little bit, some 1080 Ti's can easily go up to like 2 gigahertz. It would be at 60 FPS, but this isn't really the most intensive part of the benchmark run. The most intensive part comes now, and the 1% lows are really low right there because of the transition. I usually actually stop it and start it again between transitions. But yeah, as you can see, 30s around here, because we got a lot of shadows, of course, in this area. Still okay. It's not great, but it's still playable-ish. It might actually drop sometimes. Yes, it does. Give it a little bit of an overclock and it should be fine. He's starting to drop by a lot there, into the 30s already, and we're not even down there yet. Damn, this might actually drop from 30 right here. Yes. Ooh. Okay. So it's not a good idea to play this game with RT enabled and the 1080 Ti, unfortunately. Okay, so here we got the results. We got 56 on average across the 3 runs there, and we were, of course, 100% GPU bound. Now let's disable this, run the benchmark again, and see the difference. Probably going to be in the 100s, I think. And yes, indeed, it is in the 100s. It's now a high refresh rate experience. It's amazing. It looks almost the same, I think. I can't really tell a difference. Again, unless you're comparing things side by side and pixel peeping, you can't really spot ray traced shadows all that well. At least I can't. And here we see probably the biggest difference, because there are a ton of shadows and stuff, and we're getting like, what, 100 more FPS almost than what we saw previously. So that's just insane, obviously. You should not use ray tracing with the 1080 Ti, as I told you like 3 or 4 times already in this video, more than that probably. Yeah, starting to drop, but not into the 30s. We're still getting 100 more FPS than previously, basically. Yeah, not anymore, but it's close. Like 90 to 100 more FPS, which is insane. So we went from an average, bad-ish experience in terms of performance, of course, not graphics, to a really awesome one here. 145 FPS on average there. That's just insane compared to like 30 something or whatever it was. The minimum is almost double the average of the ray tracing run. Wow, crazy. And finally, Ghostwire Tokyo. We're playing at 1080p using high settings-ish, and ray tracing is turned on high as well. This is probably going to be the most intensive one out of all of the games tested today. And indeed it is. Look at this. It actually looks really nice. The reflections, that is, but it's completely unplayable. Now, there are a few things that you can do. Enable TSR, which actually does look better than native resolution. It's kind of like DLSS. So you don't really have DLSS here, of course, but there we go. TSR on ultra quality. And yes, I wish to apply the changes. There we go. And it's not really helping it that much. We got like 2 more FPS or so. Shut up, flying cat. What do you want? The sensitivity is just insane. Now, it's not you making these noises. And then there's Jack somewhere around here. I'm here. Oh, it's you. Okay, it's you. God damn. bastard. All right, anyways, guys. It's terrible, basically. But what if we disable ray tracing here? So that's turned off and all the way down to the lowest. And, ooh, damn, what the hell? Crazy. Of course, those reflections now are terrible, especially when things are off screen. But shut up! I really hope he's not singing copyrighted music, honestly. But yeah, now it's completely playable, guys, and very, very enjoyable. It stutters a bit, as you could see there. This game is not well optimized whatsoever. Oh, you can play some football here. So we're also testing FIFA in this one. By the way, it's FIFA 2029 or something, because it has ray tracing now. Actually, we're not playing it with ray tracing. Anyway. For the last time, don't use ray tracing with any GTX GPU. This was basically one of the fastest GTX cards, and it's not ideal, obviously. And yeah, maybe I'll do like an RTX 3060 Ti or 3050 or even 3080 Ti video testing ray tracing only in much more games, or many more games. Yes, English is hard sometimes. In the near future. And as always, guys, stay safe and stay crispy. Love you all. Bye-bye.